Here's a quick little video to show you how to measure the moon's position geographically and in terms of its angle above the horizon. And don't worry about this too much. It's an approximation just so you can have some sort of information in your observation table about where in the sky the moon is. The first piece of information that I want you to collect is what geographic direction are you looking? Are you looking north? Are you looking east? Are you looking northeast? So first of all, you have to know your cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. And I've learned that some of you don't actually know these because maybe you never needed to or you never cared to. But you do need to know the directions in terms of where you're looking. Most of you know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. This is a little diagram showing north, south, east, west. And I was once told that there's this little mnemonic to remember the order of these, which is that you're supposed to say never eat shredded wheat, N-E-S-W, if you need to do that. I always think of just putting the United States in the middle of this circle, and Canada is to the north, and Mexico is to the south, and New York is to the east, and California is to the west. I don't know, that's the way I think of it. If you're not sure what direction is north, south, or east, or west, where you live, most cell phones have some sort of compass automatically a part of that phone. So you can use your compass and figure out where you are. I've drawn a little picture so we can kind of think about you standing on the land surface, and there is you with your house and the directions, and there's the moon. The moon now is not due east of you, it's not due north or south or west, but it's kind of northeast of you. It's sort of in this direction right here. So you would say that the moon on this night is to your northeast. Now it doesn't matter that it's not at the horizon, okay? It's northeast, even though it's up in the sky. It's still towards the northeast, right? It's not towards the southwest. It's not towards the northwest. So it's going to be approximate, but close enough. In terms of what it would look like in this diagram from directly overhead, you're looking in this direction. So you would say it's northeast. So you don't have to give me a very precise direction. If you do use your cell phone, it might tell you that it's north 27 degrees east or something like that. I don't need it to be that precise, but northeast is fine. I would also expect you to be able to say something might be southeast, southwest, or northwest. So between those 8 directions, that's the kind of thing I want you to tell me. What general direction are you looking? The next one is the angle above the horizon. And I've moved the picture a little bit, so now you are in the center of this circle. And this time, let's say the moon is due east of you. It's no longer northeast, it's due east. And the angle above the horizon is this right here. What is this angle that the moon is making above the horizon? Is it a little bit above the horizon? Is it way up above your head? And that's what I want to figure out. Now, if it was directly over your head, that would be easy, right? That would be a 90-degree angle with the horizon. If it was out here on the horizon, in that case, it would be 0 degrees. Well, you wouldn't probably see it if it was at the horizon. But what do you do if it's somewhere in between? How do you calculate that angle? So I'm going to show you a little trick, and it has to do with your fist, extended outward from your arm. Your fist, when you hold it outstretched, is about 10 degrees of an arc, or 10 degrees of a circle. So here you are at the horizon. If you hold out one fist, that's 10 degrees. And if you hold out another fist on top of it, that's 20 degrees. And if you hold out another fist and another fist, that makes 40 degrees. Now, obviously you don't have 4 arms, but you just have to do it one over the other. And when it finally lines up with the moon, you just remember how many fists it took to get there. And in this case, it took 4. So the moon is about 40 degrees above the horizon. I know, it's not rocket science, but it's approximate, and that's all I'm looking for. Okay, so you probably think this is crazy. So I'm going to show you how I do this. Now, normally I take my students outside of the classroom and we look at some tall trees and we try this out. And everyone on campus looks at everybody doing this in my class, and they all feel silly. And you're going to feel silly. Your neighbors are going to wonder what you're doing every night out there going like this and stuff, but that's okay. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that the corner of my room here is the location of the moon, okay? Now, very often you can't see the horizon because buildings or trees or something's in the way. But we all know that the horizon is pretty much horizontal, right? So that's going to be your starting point. You're going to hold your arm horizontal. And then you're going to try very carefully to put your fists one on top of the other without moving. All right, so I'm going to do this until I am lined up with the corner of the room. So there's 10, 20, 30. 3 fists. So for me, from my perspective, that's about 30 degrees above the floor, from my perspective. Now, you might have very small hands, in which case you're going to want to maybe put a thumb on top. If you have very large hands, you might have to tuck that thumb in. And you can calibrate because you should have 9 fists between horizontal and straight up in the air, right? Because that should be 90 degrees. So you can make sure, right? You can go 10, 20, 30, 40. Notice how I'm not moving my fists when I change. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Okay? So again, it's not rocket science, but it's approximate. And so that's what I'm looking for the angle above the horizon. You should never be more than 90 degrees, right? Because that means that if it's more than 90 degrees, then you should have started over there and counted up that way. Okay, well, I hope that's clear. In summary, in this particular example, the moon was due east and it was 40 degrees above the horizon. And these are those little hands that you use to figure that out. Don't forget to include the date, the time, AM or PM, and a sketch. And if you don't see the moon, just write down that you didn't see it and what time you looked. And that's okay. You need 1 entry a day to get an A.